Hello, this is Terry Evans from Entrada Interactive. In this video, I'll be going over the basics of how to create a mod for Miscreated, which will include how to download the Steam CMD command, get it installed, and then there's also a sample mod that you'll be able to download. The download again is in the description to this video, and you'll be able to get it and it'll have all the basics of a mod. The example files, configuration files, and everything you need to get your first mod created. And I'll also go through the steps of uploading it to Steam and showing you how to get the ID to use inside of Miscreated and all that. Anyway, so let's get started. The first thing you'll need to do if you don't have it already is to download the Steam CMD program from Steam. And the easiest way to do that is if you go to your web browser, you can search for, in fact, we'll just do it here. So just go to Google or something and then search for download Steam CMD. Just like that. If I could spell it right. Download Steam CMD. And it'll take you to this Valve page. So go ahead and click on that. And if you scroll down a little bit, there will be this link to the Steam CMD.zip file. So go ahead and click on that and download it. It's a really quick download. This just installs one zip file. So let me move this out of the way. All right. And then what we're going to do is create a folder on our computer for it. I just named mine Steam CMD to match. And then you want to open the zip file you just downloaded, put that exe in there, and then run it. And this will go out now and dynamically download the rest of the files that Steam needs to use their command line utility. And this command line is what we'll use to upload the mod. You can also use it to download mods if you want to look at other people's mods and kind of manually do stuff like that. So this will take just a few seconds. Won't take very long to download it all. All right, now that it's all downloaded, you can go ahead and close this window. We won't need it for now. So inside of the folder are all the files we'll be using now. And in the link to this description now, what you'll want to do is download lunchbox.zip. This is the example mod that I will be making today. And this will have all the kind of the basic configuration files you'll need. So I already have a folder kind of prepared here for it. So I'm going to take that and unzip all those files into, I just call it a mod folder. And if you're going to be working on a lot of mods, I would recommend from the start to try to be organized about how you're going to keep track of all your mods and where all your files are for your mods. And so what I've been doing is keeping all my mods in an individual folder. So this is the Lunchbox mod. Inside of here, I'll walk through these files and I'll kind of explain what they do. This is the batch file that you'll be using to create the mod. And what it will do is invoke that Steam CMD command we just barely downloaded. So you'll need to edit the path to wherever you installed it at. On mine, it's in the D drive and then Steam CMD folder. So if you install it to your C drive, then you need to change this to your C drive, obviously. You'll also need to change the login. So replace username here with your login for Steam. And replace this password section here with your password for Steam. And then again, make sure this path is correct. I installed it, the Lunchbox files in dmod Lunchbox. So I already have that set up here for dmod Lunchbox. So you just need to edit, the path and the username and passwords there. All right, the next file is mod.vdf. This is Steam's configuration file for the mod. In here, you need to make sure the app ID stays 299740. That's the Steam ID for the game, for Miscreated. Again, if you installed your file somewhere else, you'll need to change this path to match. This is the content that will be uploaded as part of the mod to Steam. The preview file is just the icon you'll see on the Steam store in the workshop. Again, change the path if needed. I included my sample images in this as well, so you can just edit them or use the same sizes. I don't have it visible by default in Steam. This is the name that will appear in Steam for the workshop item, the initial description, and the change notes. Every time you upload or new version of your mod, you can add change notes so people can see those. And the published file ID, leave it blank to start with. When you create your mod, Steam will come in here and update this and enter in your ID for your actual workshop item here. It'll replace this with it. And that's how we'll know what the ID is to put into the Steam, into the Miscreated server so it can download it. So I'm going to go ahead and close this for now. Let me walk through a couple of these folders now and explain the zip file to you. So inside the images folder, I just have the images I'm going to need for my lunchbox. The LSLunchbox underscore 48, these are what we use inside the inventory system in Miscreated. And I will drill down in a second, show where these are at, but they all end with underscore 48.png. That's what the inventory will show you. This is what you'll use in Steam. And this is another one you can use in Steam for higher res versions of them. So I'll leave all these in here as kind of templates for you to use. Packs is where we'll put in all the source files for the mod. We'll pack them up, or it's just a zip file that we'll place in here. And then source, these are all the source files that go into your mod. And you need to keep the same structure. So game SDK is the highest level folder. And if you'll look over in the Miscreated install folder, which I already have conveniently located, you'll notice that inside of the Miscreated install folder for Steam, everything is inside a game SDK. And so that's why it needs to match. It uses the same folder structure. So game SDK, we drill down inside of game SDK. And here I have folders for libs, objects, and scripts. And for example, over here, you'll notice there's a scripts.pack file. If I open it, there's your scripts folder. So if you want to overwrite folders, it just needs to be the same folder structure all the way down. So let me explain these quickly. So inside of libs, UI, inventory, item images, this is where all the icons will be at. So let me open, the game SDK has the libs folder inside of it. So I'm going to go ahead and open this and walk through it. So inside of game SDK, libs, UI, inventory, item images. These are all of the, you notice all these end with 48 PNG. These are all of the inventory icon files that we use for Miscreated that you see in the inventory. And since we're adding a new item to the game, the lunchboxes will be a new item, then we need to add a new inventory icon for it, because if not, you'll get this little no icon one instead. So for example, if you wanted to replace icons, you would just, inside this folder, the items images folder, you could put icons, you could put new images in here that would overwrite these with this name. If you want to just, test or whatever, that's one thing you could do. All right, let me go back up. So that's the only thing inside the libs folder is just we're going to add a new icon for the item. Then inside the objects, I put objects Lord Snave. Again, I want to keep all my stuff kind of nice and organized, so all my mods I'm going to put inside of one folder. So Lord Snave, and then LSLunchbox for Lord Snave Lunchbox. Inside of this folder, then, these are the CryEngine files essentially. This is the model file. The CGF is the model for the lunchbox, and then the DDS are all the textures for it that it uses, and then the MTL is the material file. And these are what you'll be creating in your Photoshop. You'll create your TIFF images for your textures and everything, and kind of go through that process. I'm not going to go into the details of how you create models and textures in this video. This just kind of shows you what how you upload everything to create a mod. So that's all we need inside of the objects is just the the game files essentially for the item we're creating. Now inside of scripts, if you go down to scripts, entities, items, XML, and then I'm going to add a new folder called Lord Snave that is going to have my item in it that I'm creating. Now if you go look at the files from the actual game itself, if you go into scripts, entities, items, XML, these are all the items in the game. These are the accessories for weapons, ammo, base building items, the clothing in the game, and so forth. We would typically, put it maybe in, consumable, since it's an item you can consume in the game. This will be a consumable item with food and water. We would typically put in consumables, but again, you don't want to be, because there's going to be a lot of mods made for the game, you want to have your stuff in its own folder, so somebody else is creating a Lunchbox, for example, doesn't accidentally overwrite your files if somebody installs both mods. And so that's why I'd recommend putting it inside of a folder for just you. Whether you want to use your Steam name or whatever is up to you here, but I'd kind of keep it organized. But if you want to look at all the weapons in the game, for example, here's all the configuration files for the weapons in the game. These are all the ranged weapons and so forth. All right. Now we need one more thing in here. So let's go back up to spawners. I don't have it in here because I want to show you how to edit the spawners for the game. So let me again open the scripts. So let's go scripts and spawners. So this controls what spawns in the game, are these spawners. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually edit the item spawner manager. So I'm going to copy that in, because anything in my mod is going to overwrite the default files. And then I'm going to edit this file. So what I want to do for this example is I'm going to search for random food, is what it's called. Go down and find the category for random food. Here it is. So we have, and I think Marco is going to go over this in a video. He's going to show you how we kind of lay out levels. But we have these spawners in the game that says this is what you spawn at this location. And one of those will be a random food item. And so what I'm going to do is go in here and change this. And I'm going to add it, my lunchbox here. So I'm going to copy the line, and I'm going to change this line here to be my LS Lunchbox item that we're creating. And all of these percents need to add up to 100. So what I'm going to do is change mine to spawn 20% of the time from this spawner. And I'm going to reduce this one by 20. There. So now 20% of the time that there's a random food spawner in the game, it's going to spawn my lunchbox item. So I'm going to go ahead and save that now. And then what I want to do is I'm going to go back down into my lunchbox entity. And so the name of it is LSLunchbox, capital LSL. And so it has to match. So this has to be the exact name. And then if we edit this and look at it, this name also needs to match. So LSLunchbox. And in this case, it's a consumable, so I have to put the word consumable here. There's special code to run consumable items. I'm going to step through this just quickly so you can understand what's in this configuration file. This is the item definition file. It's done in XML inside of CryEngine. So inside of here, this sets the mass for the item. Selectable just means you can't hold it in your hand. It's set to 0, which means false. Mass is 1 kilogram. The display name is what you'll see if you hover the mouse over, and also the get prompt inside the game will say amalgamated lunchbox now. The description will be in the tooltip. It has a little additional description there. And then the geometry for it, the CGF, this matches objects, Lord Snave, LS Lunchbox, and then this CGF name right here. So it's inside of objects, Lord Snave, LS Lunchbox, Lunchbox underscore CGF. That's the name of it. And then these are the consumable parameters for this item. There are a lot of, if you go look at the other items inside the scripts folder, I showed that a minute ago when you drilled down, I showed the folder with all the items in. If you go look around in there, there's a lot of examples you'll be able to use of, different consumables and weapons, and start kind of tweaking with those and playing with those. But for this particular item, I'll just step through these. You can consume it partially, which means you can basically take bites of the item. And this is the total amount of food you can get from this item, and this is the total amount of drink or water you can get from this item. And then this is the sound that plays each time you eat or consume it. There's a soft sound and a hard sound for crunchy stuff. Again, you just kind of start looking through the examples. And this is the storage location, the player's inventory where this item can go. The any means it can go in any slot, the inside of backpacks and so forth. For weapons, a lot of times this is say primary or secondary if it's restricted on where you can store it at, for example. All right, so I'm going to close these. So this is everything that we need to have for a mod. So let me go all the way back up here to my top folder. Now the way you need to get this packaged up for Steam is once you have all the source files you need, then you'll want to come in here and just right click on this, and you want to create a zip file for it of everything that's in that folder. And then everything inside of CryEngine uses a pack file, a PAK file. So I'm going to rename this to lunchbox.pak. All right, and then I'm going to cut the file and go put it inside of the pack folder. Okay. Now again, the reason I'm doing that is because inside of the Steam definition file for my mod, that's what I told it my source file is for all the content for my mod is inside this pack file. All right. Now I need to upload it to Steam, and so in order to do that, I'm going to run my mod.create bat file. And again, just a quick reminder, you'll need to go in here and make sure that this is updated with your information. If not, it will not work. I'm running mine in a separate window here because it will show passwords and so forth. Oh, so before I do this, actually, let me go out and show you my workshop page for me on Steam. So right now, the only thing I have out here is this test mod that I created. Let me go ahead and refresh this. All right, so there's no other mods here yet. All right. All right, so I'm running the mod.create bat file. Now, if you have two-factor authentication turned on, which I do, then as part of the process, it'll ask you for your two-factor code. So each time you upload your mod or edit your mod, you will have to type in your two-factor authentication code. And this is the first time I've ran it, so it's prompting me here, so that's fine. I'll let it access the internet. It's being a little bit slow for some reason. And this will allow you to manually update the description and images and all that type of stuff if you want to. Again, I'm not quite sure why Steam's being slow. All right, so here's the item on Steam. Steam's been a little bit slow for me this morning, so I'll probably have to do a little bit of cutting of this video. But anyway, you can now go in and edit the title and description if you want to manually do that, add more information here. Again, I think it would be a good idea to kind of be extra verbose here. If it's a consumable item, for example, add how much food and water it gives the players, just so players eventually, when they're looking through mods, can figure out which ones they want. And then you'll notice there isn't an image yet, so you can add images. And then mod, lunchbox, images, and pick this 1280 by 720 image and upload that. All right, there's the image. So now let's go back and refresh. And now there's the image of the lunchbox. So that's how you create a mod. And then the other thing you want to do is change the visibility of it here. It's public. I'm not sure why it's public by default, but it is. You can change it to where only your friends can see it, or it's hidden if you want to do that. I'm sure there's a lot of tutorials on how to do all this stuff, but anyway, that's the basics of it. And then if you look up here in your URL now, this is they call it content ID, uh, but this is the Steam Workshop item identifier. And if we go look now in our mod.vdf file, it has now been updated with the same number. And this is the number you will actually use on the Miscreated server. There's that Steam underscore UGC line that got added in update 1.0.2. And so if you set it equal to this number, then the server will download and install this mod on the server, and then any clients that connect will have to download and install it as well. And so that's why you tell it which mods you want to install on the server. I hope this is a good overview of how to get a mod up and running in Miscreated. It's a little bit of a lengthy video. I apologize, but there's a lot of steps kind of involved there. It's a pretty simple process once you've done it a time or two. The only thing will be kind of figuring out how the Miscreated files work, the item files. I'd recommend if you have any questions about those, like if you want to edit a weapon or add a weapon, to ask those on our Discord. That'll be the best place to get some responses and answers on that, or any other unique items you want to create, or any other mods in general. Just feel free to ask on there. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll be doing some more videos in the future of other mods and other ways to create levels and such for the game. Thank you for your time.